Um, I just have a question, and I guess it would be I would be addressing this question more to parents um, or guardians of people who have young children, either in childcare or in a preschool setting. Um, the question is, do you bring your children to school when they are sick? The reason I'm asking this is I work with very young children, and it seems to happen a lot. I know that parents are busy and it's very hard for them to take off time from work, that a lot of employers are not very sympathetic to parents with young children. Um, but it just, I don't know, sometimes I really, I wonder where people's priorities are. They bring their children into school and they tell me they gave them Tylenol in the morning because they either are teething or had a bad night and they're not feeling that well. And so, we try to keep a closer eye on that child and um, make sure that they're not getting more ill as the day goes by. But I would say that a lot of the time, um, I have like one or two examples. We have a little boy who hadn't been feeling good last week, and very lethargic, pulling on his ears, uh, chewing on his fingers, which could be teething, but just not himself, not sleeping correctly. So we asked mom, and we wrote a note to mom, and I asked the dad, how he'd been doing at home. Is he sleeping okay? And yeah, he's sleeping okay. He did wake up last night. We think it's his teeth. We gave him some Tylenol, and he seems to be doing better, and you know, yada yada yada. So anyway, um, the I guess it was by Thursday last week, the little boy was starting to really be lethargic and despondent about everything. And I mean, he's only 13 months old, so when they're not energetic and happy like they usually are, there's usually something wrong. Well, we come to find out on Monday, this past Monday, that he had been on an antibiotic all last week, that he went back Friday after he was picked up, and that his ear infection, which no one told us about, hadn't cleared up, so now he was on a stronger antibiotic. And the reason I realized this before I actually asked the parents was certain antibiotics will change. I know this is going to sound gross to some people, but certain antibiotics will change a child's bowel movement. And there's one antibiotic in particular which will make their bowel movement red. So, when you first look at it, you would think, oh my gosh, the child's bleeding internally, where they're not, it's the antibiotic. So, when I saw that, I had a pretty good inkling that he was on antibiotics. So the next morning, when the mom dropped him off, I had asked her if he had started a new antibiotic, and she was like, oh yeah, we did bring him, and she told me the story. Well, I mean, don't you think you owe it to the people that are taking care of your children all day, that the child's on a medication, and that he's been ill? And I think the reason they didn't tell us this is because for the first antibiotic, because where I work, the policy is if a child starts an antibiotic, they should stay home for 24 hours before they return to school, not only to make sure the antibiotic's working, but also if they have any reaction to it, they're at least they're with mom or dad or a family member. So that was one example. The other example is a little girl today. Uh, hasn't been feeling good since Monday. She's a real live wire, this little girl, and she just has not been herself. Not eating very well, sleeping longer than she usually does because she's not a big sleeper, and very clingy, and she's a very independent little girl. So today, I was getting ready to leave, but before my associate came back from her lunch hour, this little girl woke up, and I went to pick her up to take her out of her little crib, and she was burning. I mean, she was burning up. And I took her temperature, and her temperature was 103.2. Now, Mom had said she had a bad night and she gave her Tylenol when she woke up and to give it to her again before nap. Well, the little girl was so tired at lunchtime, I figured I would just, instead of trying to get this medicine down her throat, I would wait till she woke up and give it to her. Well, obviously, if I would have given it to her before nap, maybe the temperature wouldn't have spiked like that. But, I mean, did she have the temperature when she came in that morning? See, I just don't understand. I mean, yes, illnesses sometimes come out of nowhere, but I think a lot of times children are already sick when they're dropped off, and it's just very disturbing sometimes. As I said, I understand parent situations, but I don't know. I would think that as a parent and your child was ill, you'd want to be with them. And I'm not talking about a minor little cold or a low-grade fever temperature that they get with teething. I'm talking about, instances where obviously the child is just not feeling well. Well, I'm not ranting about it. I just really want people's opinions on why, if they do and bring them in, or if they keep them home, and if they do bring them in, do they tell the caretakers, the teachers, that the child is not feeling well, or do they just not say anything? I'm just curious, so if anyone has any comments, I would really appreciate it. And thanks for listening. And I'm sorry if I bored you, those who don't have children, but just curious. Okay, thank you. I'll talk to everybody later.